Today we're gonna decat our Honda CBR600RR by using this mid pipe, this link pipe. So this is gonna go in place of where the factory catalytic converter is in the exhaust, and this part number and this process is gonna work on CBR600RR's 2007 to current model years. So you can find these decat mid pipe or link pipes on Amazon and eBay. I'll put links in the video description below for them on each platform, depending on what you like to shop on. So when you order this, you're gonna get your pipe. It does have an O2 bung in it, so you get two options when you get this. It has a plug if you have a CBR that doesn't have an O2 sensor. We currently do not on our 2010 model. But if you have a CBR600RR that does use an O2 sensor, it does come with a second plug there that has a spot in the middle that your O2 sensor can thread right in. Outside of that, you're just gonna get one exhaust clamp, and this is gonna be fairly easy and straightforward. I'll show you exactly how it goes down. Now there's a couple things that decatting your motorcycle is gonna do. First off, it's gonna make your exhaust more free-flowing, not having to have those exhaust gases pass through and be restricted by a catalytic converter. It's also gonna change the sound of your motorcycle. Whenever you decat a 600, it just has more of a full, almost a deeper sound. They start to sound more like thousands. And lastly, with the catalytic converter out of our motorcycle, that is when suddenly your motorcycle is able to shoot those flames out of the exhaust. At high RPMs or between shifts on engine braking, you will never get any sort of fire or flames from your motorcycle if it has a catalytic converter in it. And we all love the fire and flames. So there's a couple things that we're gonna need to take off in order to get access to everything that we need to. Just some basic tools will get the job done. But yeah, I think that's enough blabbing, so let's rip into it. And my name's Michael, welcome to the channel. Alright, we'll just get our basic toolkit, my go-to toolkit out. This is what I use for anything that we're wrenching on. I've got a couple extra Allen keys. One's size 8, I believe this is. We're gonna need that. So to gain access to everything that we need to, I mean, we're gonna have to take off the tail fairing, probably the side lower fairing, and then we'll have to take off the passenger peg as well as the driver peg on the right side. Well, and I'll just make sure that that plug is tight in there. Now we are going to need to make a cut in this pipe. We can't unbolt where that catalytic converter is. So I think just a basic hacksaw is going to work for us. I mean, depending on the angle, how much room we have, I might get out like a Sawzall, but once we get in there and get a better look, we'll know exactly what we need for the saw. And if you don't have a basic toolkit like this, I'll put a link to one on Amazon that's almost identical to mine. It's like $99. You'll have it the rest of your life and you can do anything with it. Just get it. All right, well, let's get the tail off first. Use our key here and take our little cowl off. I've actually got a rear passenger seat coming for this today as well because I never did have a passenger seat. Well, and so we'll need the driver's seat off here too. So if you pull up the corners, you'll expose 2 bolts right there that you'll just take out. 1 and 2, so this should lift right up. Ta-da! Well, and then we've got 4 bolts here on this rear tail, 2 up front, 2 in the rear. We'll just take those out. Now the reason I'm taking the tail fairing off is so I can get access to take my slip-on exhaust. We have a Tosh slip-on exhaust on our motorcycle, so by the time we decat it with our slip-on exhaust, it's kind of like the poor man's full exhaust. So these tail fairings, I just kind of pull them outwards and then up. Kind of got to stretch it over the sides here. There we go. And then you can get your little tail light connectors here unplugged. I think I can just set that right there. Sweet, and that is totally free. Oh, so then I removed the springs here that hold on our slip-on exhaust, and so now I can just take these 2 bolts on either side. We'll get those loose. There we go. One of them's out. Second one's out. So this should slide right off of there. Whoop. And then we've got this little plastic guard here, and then behind that we have kind of a tin little heat shield there on the exhaust. Both of those are gonna need to come off. To get that tin one off, that's why I'm gonna have to remove this rear peg, because we've got a bolt back there holding that on. But this one looks like it's just one bolt here, and then there's a little rubber grommet that kind of holds it on up top. Come on, baby. Yep, there we go. And then for that right passenger peg, it's gonna be a 8mm hex key. I always take a long extension with like a deep socket just to get a little extra leverage, because those are usually really on there. There's one bolt out, the other one. Well, and so at this point, I am just gonna take this kind of side and lower fairing off so I have good access to that. So it's just got a few obvious screws around it. I guess my side fairings are different. They cover the case. Yours probably don't. And then there's one secret bolt kind of under, right in front of that rear tire. It holds the two halves together. Moving forward. Now, if you haven't done it yet, I did mine the other day, but this is a fantastic time to unhook your servo cables. What the servo is, it's a butterfly valve, and it'll primarily be closed, and then once your bike hits a certain RPMs, the ECU, the computer, will open that up to full exhaust flow. But that valve is going to be down here right on the exhaust, and so you can see this little wheel which will turn. I have taken the cables out of that, and those cables just run right up here, and then under your seat right here, that is going to be your servo motor. So it's got a couple bolts on it. You could take that out, and then on the cables they'll have a spot where you can just spin a couple nuts. It loosens it up, and then you'll have the slack that you need. With just a needle nose, you can grab those and slip those out of their little spot, and just leave the servo plugged in. You can take the cables out, but if you leave the motor just plugged in, you'll never throw an engine code on these bikes, but then you'll still get full exhaust flow like you would on a full exhaust. And then I've just got all the bolts from my fairings and stuff just kind of laid out roughly in the spots that I took them out of on the bike. So that'll kind of keep you in order. You don't have to be hunting or wondering where all these bolts went back in. So I'll just put my little cover back on that servo since I'm done showing you what that was. All right, so now we'll get our 8mm back out, and we'll take off that driver right peg. One bolt out. There's the second one out. Also, and then you've got this bolt right in the center of your foot bracket there, and that one is going to be attached to the heat shield. Ugh. All right, that feels like it's out. So the foot bracket now is loose. It's detached from that heat shield, and the only thing left holding the heat shield is just one bolt right up here. So we'll just jump right up to this one, and with our foot peg kind of held out, we can just slip that bracket right out. And don't lose your little spacing washer. Ours fell out, so we'll just put that right back in the bracket there. I'm just gonna get a little bungee cord, something that will hold this up out of our way as we get access. This is our catalytic converter right there, boys and girls. Right there, sure, why not? All right, well, let me give you a better look at this catalytic converter, and I'll kind of show you exactly where we're gonna cut this thing. All right, so there is the criminal right there. So if we kind of look down under, well, and I've got our other pipe here, so we can kind of hold that up just outside of that catalytic converter. Everything obviously is the same shape, but with the end of this being straight, you know, we can't put that on a curve. So basically on this pipe, we're just gonna find the spot right after this curve here kind of hits it straight away. It's gonna be right about here, and then we've got just enough space then to slide that on, and we'll slide it on just about all the way up to the welds, the mounts that are behind that servo motor, if you can see those there. So I've got a Sharpie. I'm just gonna make a mark right here to help me so I can make a nice straight cut. All right, so there is my line that I've made right there. As soon as that pipe kind of hits it straight away, I think that's the line I'm gonna follow. That's what I wanna cut right down. And it looks like I've got enough room in here. I might as well just use my Sawzall. It'll make that super fast. And you've only got one shot at this, one opportunity. You do not wanna mess this up. So let me make my cut, obviously, before you cut it. We'll see how mine turns out, and then you'll know exactly where you wanna cut yours. So let me bust out the saw and let's rip this baby off. Well, all right, let's get in our battle position. Hold this up there, see if this is gonna work. Yeah, I mean, why not? Sure. Final thoughts, am I positive that I wanna do this? I guess. It's all for research and development. %90 of the way there. I'm just gonna finish it out with just a hand hacksaw here, so it's nice and gentle. There we go. And with the shape of this, with the way Honda did this, you know, some of these catalytic converters you can drill out, but with the shape of that and the curves, I mean, there's no way you could drill it out. You just have to put in this pipe like we're doing. Slide this on and see if we nailed it. Oh, beauties. Beauties. Take a better look. Our plan worked out perfect. It slid up almost all the way to the welds on that servo motor there. Or not the servo motor, but the servo actuator. Yep, it's just barely shy of it. And then we're sitting exactly where our other pipe was. We'll just wiggle this off here since we know everything's gonna work perfect. I'm gonna take my clamp and we'll put that on there. Finger tighten it for now, so it's roughly in the spot that we want. That looks good. So now we can slide that back on there. Well, yeah, I like that a lot. I'm just gonna loosely tighten this for now, just so it's not too loose on there. But I'm certainly not gonna tighten it all the way either. Our clamp back on there. We'll kind of feed this back around, get back up there, baby. And that perfectly went on there. So now we can tighten our lower clamp a little bit more. Okay, how solid does it feel? Solid as a rock. So I can finish tightening that last clamp. All right, so then our tentative setup here, as this comes down, clamped there, comes around, we've got the bung plug in, and then we're cinched up right there. Man, that all looks really, really good. Well, so now is the super fun part of putting it all back together. My favorite. So let's get to work. All right, so we've got the bike all buttoned back up. Everything looks good. So now the moment of truth. What does it sound like? Oh boy. Now the Tosh is already like the loudest slip-on exhaust you could ever get for this bike. So this will be interesting. Golly. Well, it's certainly louder, and it does have that deeper, fuller tone like I was talking about. Give it a second to kind of warm up, and then we'll give her a couple revs and see how she screams. I'll clip my microphone on the back of the bike so you can kind of get a good listen. That might almost be too loud. I think we'd be in good shape if we had any other slip-on exhaust but the Tosh and decatted. Oh, I heard a pop. I heard a little pop again, a little. So if it was nighttime, I'm sure we'd be seeing a little blue flame pop out of there. Well, so that was a success. And we even get those decatted smells. You know, it just smells a little bit more gassy, I guess. Boy, I can't wait to take that on a rip and just really wring it out. But yeah, super easy. It's a straightforward process. You saw us do it. Just do the exact same thing to yours. You should be in good shape. And I would cut yours exactly where you saw us draw that line, exactly where I cut mine. And yeah, that pipe just fits on there perfectly. And that should fit up to any slip-on exhaust. It should slip on to your factory muffler as well. If for any reason you wanted to decat your bike but retain the factory muffler, you would gain a little bit of volume, and some of the perks that go along with the decatting, even with a stock muffler. So I think I'm going to experiment with maybe some different slip-on exhausts. On eBay, I've seen these, well, I call them black market exhausts, but it's rip-off Yoshimura RS5, I believe. But when you find these on eBay, they're like $260. And so it's your whole connecting pipe with the muffler, with the mounting bracket. I'll put a link to those in the description as well so you know what I'm talking about. But probably the first thing I'll try is just slipping on one of my favorite universal mufflers on there. I mean, those things are like $37. I'll put the link to the exact one that I'm going to try first. But yeah, hopefully this helped you guys out. If you were curious about a full system for your CBR or decatting it, retain the factory headers, get that pipe that decats it, and then get your slip-on exhaust of choice. The poor man's full exhaust system. I mean, it's basically the same thing. Pretty darn close. So comment with any questions you guys may have, and like the video if this helped you out. Subscribe if you want to see more, and until next time.